Hello, my fantastic first grade artists. Today, we are going to be making some pumpkins. So, this is the project that we're going to be doing. If you take a look at this project, you can see the texture on the pumpkin. So, texture is something that we learn about in art this year. And does anybody know what texture means? What does texture mean? If you said, or you even thought, texture means how something feels, then you are correct. So today we are going to draw these pumpkins. Now they're flat. They're on flat paper, but they look like they have texture. We use the pastels, the chalk pastels that we're going to use today, and we make it look like it has texture. So what texture do these pumpkins have? Are they smooth? Are they liquid? What are they? What do you see in these pumpkins for texture? If you said or thought that they look bumpy, you would be correct. So if we get a real pumpkin, and I have two here. I have one little tiny one, the little baby ones, and one bigger one that has different colors on it. You can see that this is bumpy. So it has like this curve right here, then there's a little divot, then it has this curve right here, then there's a little divot, it has this curve, little divot, and all the way around it has these bumps that go on over it. This one you can see even better with the, oh, that's going bad a little bit. You can see even better with the shadows that it has big bumps right here, and they're really deep and they go in there. So you can see when something has a texture like this that we are going to draw, it's darker where it goes in and it's lighter where it pops out, okay? So we're going to try to show that on a flat piece of paper. So where it goes in, it's darker, where it pops out, it's lighter. And if you saw this right like that, you can see that this part is like an oval. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with that middle oval. And you can see on the top, it's curved like an oval. On the bottom, it's also curved like an oval. So we're going to use ovals in this exercise. And we're going to use overlapping. Overlapping is when one thing is in front of other things. So this oval, if we look at it like an oval, is in front of this oval and in front of that oval, if you can see that. So overlapping is when one thing is in front of another thing. So this is in front. It's overlapping this thing. Now this thing is overlapping this thing. So that is overlapping and texture. So I'm going to set those two aside. I'm going to set these a little up here, maybe a little more out of the way. So I have my blank piece of paper. You are going to take a pencil. Do I have a pencil? I don't think I have a pencil. I'm going to use a pen. On the back, I'm going to put my name, Ciati, and 1-X, because there is no 1X. This is an egg from a second grade lesson. Isn't that weird? I'm going to put that aside because I do need my chalk pastels. Now you're going to have chalk pastels that have a lot more colors. I'm not sure if I have enough chalk pastels packages for everyone, so we might have to share. If we do that, I'm going to set it on one desk, and the person in front of that desk is going to turn around, grab a pastel, use it on their paper, and then put it back when they're done and grab a different pastel, and so forth and so on. So this is the back. My name is there. I don't know if you could see that. Hopefully you can see that. My name is there, 1X. I'm going to flip the paper over. So now the paper is flipped over. I am ready to begin. What you're first going to do is you're going to take a darker color than orange. So pumpkins are usually some kind of orange like this. And in the highlighted areas, it looks a little more yellow. If you could see right here, that looks yellow. It's not exactly white. It just makes the orange a little lighter, which makes it yellow over here. So you can either take a red, which I really like how the red looks for the darkest color, or if you want, you can take a brown, or you can take anything in between. You could take a dark pink if you wanted to. I think I have one that I did dark pink. I think this one I did dark pink for the first outline. So you can use dark pink if you want. I'm going to use red because I like red. And the first thing we're going to do is draw an oval. So I'm going to draw an oval right here. It's pretty tall and skinny. So that is my first oval. This I like to look at as my general. Okay, this is my general oval, and he's going to have some army guys that are behind him. So he's leading the pack, he's the general, and he's going to have another oval that's a little further back. So when things are further back, they're a little smaller. So he's going to have a little army guy right beside him here, but it's a little further down from how tall the general is. It's scrunched on the top, scrunched on the bottom. I'm going to do the same thing on this side because he has two army guys on either side of him to do anything that he wants them to do. And they're both smaller than the general because they're further back in space. When things are further back in space, they get smaller and smaller. Okay, and there's gonna be one more set of army guys behind these two guys. So they're gonna be even slightly smaller, like this, and slightly smaller on this side, like that. Okay, so that is basically the outline of my pumpkin. So I'm gonna put this one away, or just set it aside. I'm gonna take the orange. My orange broke, but no matter how small your pastel is, it can still work. So I'm gonna do most of the inside of my pumpkin this orange color. Maybe not most, maybe like half. And I'm going to leave the middle part open. So I'm going to go around there, leave the middle part open. I am going to go on the edges over here and do some orange and leave the middle part open. I am going to come over here, do the same thing on the edges, on the outline, right next to the red, and leave the middle part just a tiny bit open because that's a lot smaller. I might go back and do a little bit more because I want a nice solid color. Just leave the very middle open. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to go ahead and just go right next to the red. We don't want to go into the red because we might smush it and go and need more red later. And I'm going to go over here, go right next to the red. And I'm almost filling in the whole thing because I don't have a lot of room there. So now I'm going to put this down. I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to get the yellow, Now the middle part is what becomes yellow. And I want a lot of yellow to be on there. So I really want to make sure that I put the yellow like it's a solid color of yellow. There we go. Solid yellow, no black showing through. Solid yellow, no black showing through. Right in that middle part. Now, one thing about chalk pastel is that it has all these crumbs. Do you see those crumbs? Let me see if I can do a close-up so that you can see the crumbs. Do you see all of those little crumbs that are happening all over the place? Now, one thing you do not want to do is to blow it. If you blow those crumbs, they get scattered up into the air. They probably get onto the clothing of the person who's sitting in front of you. And we do not want to do that. So what we're gonna do is we're going to, let me see, do I have, here, I'm gonna pretend, maybe I'm not gonna pretend, I don't know. I'm gonna pretend that this is a white piece of free draw paper, and I'm gonna put it under me. So now, or you could put it to the side of you, or you could put it a little further up from you. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make sure I am over that piece of free draw paper, and I'm going to go like this and tap, tap, tap. Now you see most, probably like 80% of the powder is now on this piece of paper. This is going to be scrap later on. You don't want to just put your paper on top of that because then it'll get on the back of your paper. You just want to set that paper aside and keep working on your pumpkin. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to smush the chalk into the paper. Now you want to start with the lightest color, which in this case is the yellow. So I want to smush the yellow into the paper, smushing the yellow. I'm even going to go on the edge of the orange a little bit as I smush. Okay, so now I'm going to do this yellow. I'm going to smush it into the paper. I'm going to go ahead with this yellow, smush it into the paper. Same thing on this side, smush it into the paper. What this does, if there was any bald spots where you could see the black paper underneath, it gets rid of those bald spots and it smushes it into those bald spots so that you don't have any. So now that I'm done with the yellow, I'm gonna go into the orange and smush that all around. I'm gonna make sure it smushes back into the yellow a little bit. So my yellow space is becoming a little smaller. I'm gonna make sure that I don't have any bald spaces, any places where I can see the black paper underneath. We do black paper on this project because the colors are so vibrant against the black. They're so bright when the background is black. It's so cool. Okay, I'm gonna smush the orange a little bit up here. Smush the orange down here. I'm getting a little bit into the red, but that's okay. Make sure all that orange is smushed, even a little into the yellow, so there's a nice blend. Then I'm gonna come over here and smush the orange over here. Smush the orange down there. Smush it up the side right there. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side, smushing the orange into the yellow a little bit. Making sure all of the little bald spots where you could see the black paper are covered. It almost glows because it's on the black paper. It's so neat when you smush this way. Okay, so now if my red isn't very smushed, I'm gonna go back and smush that a little bit. It's mostly smushed already. Down here it's not, so I wanna smush that in. Over here, I don't think I touched it. Now you might have a lot of crumbs on your paper right now. So at any time you can just lift it up, go to your paper, your scrap paper and tap, 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 and then bring your paper back. Okay, that looks pretty good. You might at this point, if you've lost any of your red, you might want to go back with red a little bit or whatever your dark color is. If it's the pink or the brown, you might want to go back with that dark color. Like, see how this was smushed so much that I lost a lot of the red? So I'm going to go back and just color in that red a little bit. I am going to smush it a little after I do this. I want to keep that nice and vibrant, and I'll smush it a little bit right here, right here, right here. Oh, I like this. Okay. I'm going to tap it again over here. Tap, tap, tap. Okay. Now I am ready to do a stem. So I'm going to pick green. I'm going to put these back because I'm done with them. Maybe I'll use the yellow too. I don't know. So I want to pick the green. Notice my fingers are a little dirty at this point. That's fine. We're going to wash them at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead with the green, and you know when it has that curlicue stem kind of thing, I like that look. So I'm doing that. So this is all gonna be green in here. And I might want to use some yellow. I might want to use some brown. A lot of the stems, like this stem is really cool. It has some browns and some dark greens. So maybe I'll use some brown, and I'll put some browns in there because it also has that texture on the stem where it has like big long bumps that come up, which is really neat. If you can show that, that's a really good thing. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my finger and smush it just a little bit. It doesn't matter that my finger is already a little dirty from the pumpkin because it just gets smushed into the stem. That is pretty good. There is a lot of crumbs on there, so I'm gonna tap, tap, tap over here. Okay, now we're back. Okay, now if you have time, you can go ahead and make another smaller one if you want. There is such thing as a green pumpkin. I don't know if you'd want to do that, but I think if I did a green pumpkin, let's see, that was behind this pumpkin, I would do it smaller because it's behind that pumpkin. So that's, oops, not really on camera. That is my first oval right there. This is the second one. That is the army guy behind him. Another army guy behind him, and one last one over there. And you don't even see this one because it goes behind this pumpkin, overlapping. And so now let's see, what am I gonna do? This lighter green. I first learned about green pumpkins from a child in first grade that is already in the middle school. He might be in the high school, but he brought one in when he was in first grade, and he got it in France. His family is from France. So I'm doing the outline right next to the dark green on this, leaving a little space in the middle if I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it there at all. Okay. And then for the middle part, I'm going to do yellow because that is the lightest color. That's a good one to show the highlights. Highlights. And I don't really have highlights on that other one. Okay, so now it might come into play that my finger is already dirty because these are different colors. So I'm going to use my pinky, and I'm going to go ahead and just smush. And it's so small, I don't really have to worry about which color I start with or anything. It's so tiny. Just have to make sure I smush everything in there and stay in the spaces so I keep my my bumps. I want to keep those bumps. I have a lot of crumbs on there right now. I don't know how I'm going to do this little tiny area. Okay, cool. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and tap, tap, tap. And there's my second pumpkin, and he's going to have more of a brown stem, I think. More of a brown stem. So maybe it's going to go this way. Maybe it's only like that. And maybe it has some blue in it, or some green in it, rather. Ooh, that's pretty good. Maybe it even has a little leaf coming off like that. I'm going to smush that a bit, smush that a bit. Cool. So that's my second pumpkin. If you want to do a third pumpkin over here, you are welcome to do that. So these are the pumpkins. If you have time, you can do another one. Remember, in the little areas that go into the pumpkin, whoa, I just made my pumpkin green. Those are the darkest areas, and you want to use a dark color. So if you're doing an orange pumpkin, the darker color would be red, or brown. The lighter color would be yellow for the highlights on the pumpkin. For this would be a highlight right here. This would be a highlight right here. So we really want to show that texture on our pumpkins. And then once you are done, we're gonna put them on the cart. I don't think we need a drying rack for these, but I might put free draw paper in between them so that they don't rub off on other people's. Good luck, guys. I hope you're having fun. Okay, cleanup. So you're gonna have this big mess. First, you always put your art away. So you're gonna come over to my rack. You're gonna put it in the pile that I have. I'm gonna have white paper in between each project so that it doesn't get messed up. So always put your paper away first. Then you're gonna take this mess. This is a big mess. You're going to fold it like this. It doesn't have to be totally folded. And then you're going to hold it like this with all the crumbs inside there. And you're gonna throw this paper out in the garbage, not in recycling, in the garbage, because it has all of that crusty chalk powder in it. We don't want that to mess up recycling. So we're gonna put this in the garbage just like that. Make sure it is folded up like this before you dump it in the garbage. Be very careful not to spill those little crumbs all over the place. Then you are going to put your pastels back in order, however you want them to be. They cannot be out of their packaging. And then you're going to hand in your pastels to my cart. And then if your desk needs to be wiped down, you're gonna go get a paper towel. Remember, when you get a paper towel, you're gonna have it dry in your hand. You're gonna turn on the water and then just go one swish under the water, and then it gets just a little bit wet. And that is the perfect wetness to clear off your desk. Okay, good luck. One more thing I wanted to say, first graders. So with this project, with this pumpkin project, as well as many other projects throughout the year, I will be keeping some of them for displays. Now, that doesn't mean I keep them forever. You do get them back. So I just want you to be assured that you will get your artwork back. I don't keep anything forever unless you want to give it to me. So I do keep some of them for displays. Now, that might be the district art show, which is the big thing that you want to get into, but we don't even know, because it's such a weird year, we don't even know if we're going to have a district art show. Because there's always big crowds, and big crowds aren't allowed right now. So I am going to keep them for other displays as well. There is Youth Art Month that happens in March. There's displays around the school where I have to put up art in certain places that you can take a look at other kids that have done the same project as you, or other classes that are doing projects in other grades. So I do like to set out the artwork that kids do all over the place. There is a display coming up, dun dun dun, at the Board of Education office. The Board of Education office is where Dr. Hung, our principal, it's where her boss is. So when I have a display that I am putting up in the Board of Education, that means it's got to be fancy, 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 fancy artwork. So if you did really well on this project, or on other projects that we do throughout the year, I might keep yours for a couple of months to put it on display and let all of the really, really, really super important people look at it and see how awesome you are. It's a real big honor. So if I come back, I'm always going to let your teacher know I kept 2 artworks from this class, or I kept 1 artwork from this class, or I kept 7 artworks from this class. I only pick the best of the best. You are not guaranteed to be on display at some point in this year. So I just wanted to put that out there. I only pick the best of the best, the hardest workers, the people that pay attention to directions the most, and those are the ones that get picked. I also pick ones that are really creative. Like if you think outside of the box and you think of things I didn't even think about, but you demonstrate that you do understand the concept that we're learning. Like if during this one, if you didn't show texture in it, I can't pick yours because the whole project is about texture. So if you show the concept and you think outside of the box and do something totally different that looks awesome, I might pick yours too. I mean, because I love seeing creativity in your work. I don't want to see things that are all the same all the time. So that being said, throughout your whole career in Jefferson, things will be kept from pretty much every project that we do. Things will be kept and set aside for when I have displays, either in the school, in the Board of Education, in downtown Westfield. Sometimes I put it in different businesses during March, or in the district art show, which is where every artist in the whole Westfield school system gets displayed. So if yours is not handed back to you, that is a good thing. If a whole lot of yours is not handed back to you, that means you are the best of the best every single time. And I do have that happen sometimes where some kids just get pulled back, get their artwork at the very end of the school year in June, and they get like 5 different projects that I've held for different displays. So that might happen, that might not happen. It's definitely just picking the best work. So just wanted to let you know that that happens often. Okay, bye.